The Arsenal, main offices of the Parks, Recreation and Cultural Affairs Administration in New York's Central Park. From this historic landmark, the Department of Cultural Affairs directs its programs to the city's 5 boroughs. As liaison between the community and the arts, its role is to support and reflect the city's diverse cultural life and to share this life with all New Yorkers. Festivals, music, dance and mime, poetry, plays. We close a street, set off fireworks, strike up a tune. With its staff of knowledgeable, experienced program specialists, sensitive to the needs of the community and to current trends in visual and performing arts, Cultural Affairs becomes the working reality of enlightened concepts in our cultural development. Just for fun, we dress up, paint our faces. Our ways of making festivals are many, and Cultural Affairs focuses our artistic and creative energy that we may gather and share together the best of these treasures. We celebrate our past. We celebrate the things to come. We celebrate our background and our homeland. We see a different world. We become a different being, for this is ours, our journey to self-discovery. Summer, a time for relaxation and going places. To know Cultural Affairs is to be aware of a city full of free events, of concerts in the parks and theater in the streets. The department continues throughout the year to support community programs, as well as many of the city's great cultural institutions. Among these, the Museum of the City of New York and the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Here, too, is the American Museum of Natural History and the New York Public Library. One of the great complexes for the lively arts of all time, Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, and New York's own ballet theater, the City Center. Carnegie Hall, citadel of the world's great virtuosi, and the Brooklyn Academy of Music. The Brooklyn Museum, with its collection of Egyptian art, has an enchanting neighbor, the Brooklyn Botanical Garden. Bronx Zoo, world's great menagerie, offers a broad view of the animal kingdom. There's the Staten Island Institute for Arts and Sciences, and in the Bronx, Wave Hill, Center for Environmental Studies. But not all of the city's cultural centers, aided by the department, are housed in such proportions as these. El Museo del Barrio, or District Museum, shows the Puerto Rican people that their art and history is alive here as an energetic and constructive presence. Their own exhibition and educational center. El Museo puts Puerto Rican traditions and culture on wheels with its special mobile unit, a traveling museum which visits schools and other communities. The Studio Museum, showcase for arts in the black community. It opens its galleries to contemporary exhibitions, poetry readings, dance recitals, jazz and blues events, and discussions on aspects of black culture. The museum maintains a unique artist-in-residence program, granting studio space and materials for up to a year, and houses a library and a community print workshop. The Storefront Museum in Queens is another center for black history and cultural life. Here are selections of classic and contemporary Afro-American art forms. A 400-seat theater provides a showplace for anything from gospel singing to plays and readings by black poets, and free workshops offer training in self-defense, photography, and the dance. Low-income residential areas can suffer from a sense of cultural isolation unless such focal points exist to sustain the pace of an active, aware community. Staten Island, New York's largest yet least populated borough, is separate from the mainstream of city life. Now the city has purchased Sailor's Snug Harbor, a former home for old sailors on the island's north shore. Its complex of Greek Revival buildings, preserved as city landmarks, rests on 80 carefully landscaped and tended acres, and is administered by Parks, Recreation and Cultural Affairs. It will one day become a place for art collections, exhibitions, and a wide range of cultural facilities. Here we have a theater, an auditorium, great halls, and potential workshop and studio spaces already built and ready for use. These splendid surroundings will live again to encompass the artistic experiments of a new generation. These meadows and woodlands will endure as a park and botanical gardens for the solace of all who come here. Between architecture and the environment, there is an aesthetic link. Sculpture in the city contributes a complementary quality to the open spaces of our parks and plazas and serves to introduce us to new and varied art forms. In cooperating with artists to help realize their projects, Cultural Affairs aids in the selection of sites and arranges for the city's manpower services to carry out installations. In a cultural exchange between the cities of Paris and New York, Marta Pan brings her floating sculptures to the pond in Central Park. Similarly honored, the city receives the gift of Louise Nevelson, whose Core 10 steel night presences now stand on Park Avenue. In opening the walls of the museum, urban space can become a gallery for works which contrast and balance the often strict and dehumanizing influences of structural design. On the Lower East Side of Manhattan, the City Arts Workshop has proved itself radically effective in combating some of the drab monotony of the inner city. These murals add a sense of hope and renewal to run-down areas. Conceived, designed, and painted by youths, they depict the feelings, opinions, and history of the people in the community. The murals often have social and political messages that reflect the growing concerns of minority groups about poor housing, drug abuse, violence, alienation from nature, poverty, and the struggle for self-pride and self-determination. In the Soho district south of Houston Street, AIR means Artist in Residence. That means that since a legislative change in zoning, artists have been able to live and work in lofts which were once exclusively warehouses and industrial buildings. Cultural Affairs issues artist certification which protects these studios from further encroachment and helps to ensure an enclave of artistic life within the city. While the department's programs serve all of the city of New York, the Borough Arts Councils, well attuned to the cultural needs and resources of the community surrounding Manhattan, extend and promote cultural activities on the neighborhood level. The Bronx Council prints a monthly calendar in its Community Graphic Arts Workshop, making it possible for thousands of Bronx residents to enjoy many free and low-cost events. Counselors and programmers work year-round with artists and community representatives to plan and coordinate projects for individual and public participation. By dealing closely with business, civic, and educational leaders, the Brooklyn Arts and Culture Association organizes many of its own outdoor art exhibitions, children's festivals, and workshops. From its offices in the Brooklyn Museum, BACA demonstrates its vitality as a community catalyst by seeking out new talent and financing scholarships for young artists. With funding from the Department of Cultural Affairs, the Borough Arts Councils are able to involve communities in their cultural expansion by planting in them a love for the arts, an essential step in building future audiences. Guided by full-time administrators, the councils, as well as the Harlem Cultural Council, act as consultants for neighborhood programs and conduits for public and private contributions. Expanding their capacities, the councils frequently collaborate with borough institutions, as the Staten Island Council works closely with Sailor's Snug Harbor and the Staten Island Institute. Festivals. Drawing from many resources, Cultural Affairs helps New York celebrate the 90th anniversary of the Brooklyn Bridge. Rain doesn't stop the crowd from recalling a time when the city was younger, to relive with parades and poetry the day when the cities of Brooklyn and New York were at last united.
Downcast eyes have time to take it from you. Consider, you who peruse me, whether I may not in unknown ways be looking upon you. Be firm, rail over the river to support those who lean idly, yet haste with the hasting current. Come on, ships from the lower bay, pass up or down, white-sailed schooners, sloops, lighters, flaunt away, flags of all nations.
A Children's Day, spring festival of myths, new dreams, and fantasies. From assemblies of folk culture comes this meeting on common ground. A release of energy, and the sense of community is strong again. A mural for the wall of Mount Morris Park Recreation Center. And how about free concerts?
So let's have a big hand for Mr. Richard Hamlin.
This is a day for us to remember as we join in welcoming and thanking one of our most loved musicians and citizens of the world, Don Pablo Casals.
Street theater, dance, and musical groups tour the boroughs each summer, bringing the theatrical experience to new audiences.
Confiese usted con 1000 demonios que es médico y acabemos.
Yo ya no aguanto, yo me voy.
¿Para qué fingir si todo el mundo lo sabe?
Pero es que yo no soy médico.
No, con su buena licencia de usted tendremos que valernos de remedio consabido.
Vale, al revés.
¡Ay, ay, ay! ¡Pegando! ¡Sí que soy médico! ¡Soy! ¡Basta!
Ahora sí que parece usted un hombre de juez.
Maldita sea tu estampa, seré yo médico y no lo sabría.
Una mujer que ya estaba enterrada.
La desenterré con una pala.
Un muchacho que se cayó de una torre y se hizo la cabeza una tortilla.
Le levanté la tortilla.
También.
He looks through all the roses. He sees the most beautiful, and he plucks the rose. Look at the top of the knee. Oh, my goodness gracious, I get the storm blowing through the rain. What could it possibly be?
this, you pick my most pleasant possession.
I give it back to you.
For this, you must die.
Please, monsieur, don't kill me, no, please.
Trucks and buses deliver entertainment to virtually any open space in the city. A traveling caravan arrives on a flatbed truck. A converted bus with a 3-level stage brings a full ballet company. And even this inflatable movie house can be ready to go in an hour. Through this mobility, the arts are decentralized.
Every summer we go on tour across the country, performing in migrant farms and on Indian reservations. And this summer we went down into Mexico City, and we spent 10 days there doing street theater for the people. And now we're back, and we've been traveling around the city doing shows for the people here in New York City.
Your arms, pick up your face, get on the jump and get on the kick.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the annual Chinese Cultural Arts Festival. We must thank the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, thank the Chinatown community for the opportunity to present this show. We hope it will rekindle a cultural spirit, which for many of us was left in a faraway place at a faraway time. It is our goal today to show that Chinatown is also a summer festival in New York.
And on the 4th of July, It takes months of planning in coordination with artists, institutions, and the support of the business community to accomplish this all-day event where New Yorkers and visitors alike commemorate their independence and history in costumes and craftwork, music and dancing, and in songs, speeches, and fireworks. To rediscover themselves and their street, neighbors interrupt the patterns of ordinary life by holding a block party. If they call on cultural affairs, they can receive sound equipment and technical and artistic assistance. To make it happen takes imagination and the help of friends. For the streets are our stage and the city an arena for the celebration of public art. Summer's lease hath all too short a date, and Shakespeare in the Park is one of the city's most popular entertainments.
So young, so untender.
So young, my lord, and true.
Let it be so. Let truth then be thy one. For by the sacred radiance of the sun, the mysteries effected in the night, by all the operation of the orbs, from whom we do exist and cease to be, here I disclaim all my paternal care, propinquity and property of blood, and as a stranger to my heart and me, hold thee from this forever. Ah, the barbarous Scythian. For he that makes his generation nesses to gorge his appetite, shall to my bosom be as well neighbored, pitied, and relieved as thou, my sometime daughter. Good my lady. Peace, king! Come not between the dragon and his wrath. I loved her most, and thought to set my rest.
An autumn moon, and the people of 14 Asian cultures celebrate an evening of light and water. And which event draws over 100,000 people to the park? The New York Philharmonic. In its annual concerts with guest conductors, it brings us the great experience of music once again.